Hello, welcome to Classroom Management Part 2. In this video, we're going to talk about creating an engaging learning environment for the students. In Part 1, we talked about structures and consistency, which is extremely important, but you will find that engagement will eliminate many of your discipline problems in the classroom because the students will be involved. When I'm doing presentations, I'm often asked about motivation, so we're going to talk about that a little bit, so hopefully your students won't look like this young man. While there is no magic pill or silver bullet, these ideas will help you increase motivation in your classroom. A very important step is to build relationships with your students, and by this I don't mean become their friend. You still want to be a teacher and they're still the students, but you get to know the students, and if they think you're interested in them, they'll be interested in what you have to say. So you want to get to know their interest. If they're into soccer, when they come to class the next day, how did that soccer game go? Or you want to talk about programs they like or music they like, or if they play a musical instrument. You also want to get to know the student challenges. You don't want to put them in a position of failure. So if you know there's certain things that the student can't do or that the student struggles with, you want to try to make sure that you don't put the student in that position without some support and scaffolding. Involve families in a positive way. I can't say enough about this. Reach out to the family. Starting the first day of school, make 3 or 4 phone calls a night and say something positive to the family about their child. When the first amount of feedback that they get from you is a positive thing, later when you have some issues, they'll be more receptive. Also, it will cause them to be a little more interested about what's going on in the class, and when they're interested, their children, your students, will become more interested. Be sensitive to pressure points. If a student doesn't have a lot of confidence, you don't want to put them in a position where they're going to fail. This doesn't mean to be an enabler and never hold them accountable or never challenge them, but just be aware of what their pressure points are so that they don't become defensive. Also be aware of their peer reputation. If they are the person that everybody expects to act out, if they are the person that everybody expects to give the teacher a hard time, you want to try to break that cycle. Put them in the hall and let them do some independent work. Have some private conversations with them. Make them in charge of a group. Just break that cycle so they don't have to always be the one that the peers expect them to be. Also, expectations, their own personal expectations. Be sure to communicate your expectations and also build on some family expectations once you've made that positive connection with the families. Ultimately, give choice. When you empower them, this works really well, but you need to do this carefully. Talk to them. If a child is not getting with the program, you tell that student, you have a choice. If you don't want to be educated, that is your choice. However, I'll be very sad if that's the choice you make, but you do not have a right to disrupt class. So if you choose not to get with the program and you don't want to be an educated person, that's okay. That's your choice. I will have to communicate that choice to the principal and your family, but you will need to stay in the back of the room and read a book, put your head down, color or something. You cannot disrupt class. In all the years I was a teacher, in all the years I was a principal, I never had a student make that choice. Once you empower them, they choose to usually be part of the group. Let's talk about expectations. The teacher sets the tone. You need to set an environment in your classroom where the high expectations are the norm. You need to communicate these expectations to the students. It's not a secret. You're not trying to trick them. You need to let them know what you expect of them. And you need to make it very clear what the non-negotiables are. For example, a student is not allowed to disrupt other students. That is a non-negotiable. No matter how you feel about the child or how you feel about a lesson, that's a non-negotiable. That is never acceptable. Believe in the students. You have to really believe in the students. If you try to fake it, if you say nice things with a fake smile, they will sense it, and if you don't believe in them, they won't believe in you. And celebrate victories. Celebrate even the baby steps. Try to look at everything as a glass half full. If a student comes in the classroom and they're usually disruptive, and they come in one day and they're very perfectly well behaved, even though they don't do their work, don't say, oh gosh, but they still didn't do their work. Say, oh my goodness, yes, they acted appropriately. Tomorrow they'll do their work. Effective strategies for middle school students, especially low achievers and English language learners, need to be uncluttered. If you provide too much information, it overwhelms them and confuses them. So you want to present your information in a very streamlined fashion. It needs to also be understandable. Academic language is a key to student success, but in the beginning you need to use words they understand. So for example, if you're talking about fractions, you would say the bottom of the fraction, the denominator, the bottom of the fraction, the denominator. You would go back and forth between the simple words and the academic language. Instructional blocks need to be chunked up. There is a reason why middle school students are so fidgety, because at this point in their life they are growing more than any other time except 0 to 5, and so they really can't sit still for long periods of time. So you want to break up your instructional blocks to 20 minutes or less. Engaging visuals help students really understand what you're talking about. Manipulatives help as well. It helps them have a more concrete understanding of the concept. You want to make it interesting and relevant, relate it to things that are important in their life. Also bring in things that you know they like and kind of weave that into your lessons, because it'll keep them involved if it's something they understand. And also connect to their prior knowledge. Money is a great example. They always know about money, so when you're doing decimals and fractions, use money. So creating an effective lesson. So you want to think about what you want the students to accomplish. It's not okay just to take a standard and write that at the top of your lesson plan. You want to really know what the outcomes are. What will the students be able to do at the end of this lesson? And you want to write it down in a simple, single sentence in simple language. And you want to share the sentence with the students. You want to tell them what you expect of them. Tell them what they're going to learn. It's not a secret. Let them know what you expect. Effective lessons have active listening skills, both on your part and the student's part, but I encourage you to explicitly teach active listening skills to the students. Teach them that their eyes have to be on you, their ears have to be open, their mouth has to be closed, and so on. Interactive. The lessons need to be interactive. Don't just give them a worksheet and say turn it in at the end of the period. You need to read a paragraph, model it, have them read back to you, explain a concept, have them do 1 or 2 problems and come back for feedback. Whether it's in front of the classroom, whole class, or in little small groups, you need to be interactive with the students. You need to constantly check for understanding and check out the other video that I've posted that gives more explicit and detailed information about checking for understanding. But this must be done constantly. Rigor. I encourage you to increase the rigor, not to lower the rigor. The standards need to be high. The students will rise to the occasion. They like to be challenged. They will make them feel more competent and smart, and they will really eat that up. They'll love it. Tactile. Remember, for math, have manipulatives. For reading, tell them to put their finger on the word and follow along while you're doing whole class reading. Hints and secrets. When you tell them something, tell them it's a hint. Tell them it's a secret. And I'm telling you, they would just love it, because they will feel like they're knowing something special that nobody else knows, and they really, really will love it. Okay, ultimately, you have to have assessment and accountability in order for students to be engaged. You have to have both checking for understanding and formal assessments so that you know what the students know. You can't determine what to teach if you don't know what they already know. You also need to give them feedback. They need to be engaged, and they will be engaged if they get feedback and they know whether or not they've met the expectations. And it also gives them an air of accountability. They're in a classroom, their job is to learn, and they're going to be more involved if they know that they're being held accountable. You care about what they're doing, and their families care about what they're doing. I hope you found this video useful, and I really hope that your classroom will become very engaging, because it makes it more rewarding for you and the students. It also makes it more fun. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel so that you can get the latest updates, and your comments are always welcome. Visit our webpage if you want copies of this presentation. We also have other teacher resources there, www.mastermiddleschoolmath.com. Thank you for visiting.